Hi everyone! Welcome to my channel and to BBH Creates. I'm new here. I'm not very tech savvy, so please be forgiving of the images, the glare, any background noise such as traffic or my pets. um, I tried a couple different avenues for recording this, and I need a little practice with videos, so I'm using what resources I feel comfortable with and that I know. I'll get there, folks. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while, so bear with me and let's get started. A little bit about me is that I like to journal, and I like Traveler's Notebook. I like notebook therapy, uh, any type of, A5, that's like my go-to size. But I'm also a book binder, so I create a lot of my own journals. And I just love that James created this book for this virtual voyage. And it was the first thing that I bought. Then I bought a shirt. Uh, and I kind of mirrored the closure options of Traveler's Notebook with the elastic band. That's what you can see there off to the right. But also this was a birthday gift. So James' birthday is really, really close to when mine is. And I wanted to remember that. So I used some curling ribbon. You can see on the spine, and also there's a little insert inside that has some. But excuse me, more about what's on the cover here. There's several stickers that are James Luke Burke's creations. The font that my name is in, he drew, as well as the self-portrait of himself. The other sticker I made, and it's a quote from Beetlejuice. It says, "This is my art and it is dangerous." And that's so true because I don't really consider myself an artist or a drawer or a sketcher. I mean, I do draw in my bullet journal, but I just share that like on my personal Instagram, not like to the public eye. But maybe if you guys like this journal flip, I'll start sharing it here too. Um, excuse me. The Do Not Bend sticker that I included on the cover was inspired by another YouTuber called Seaweed Kisses. I love her channel. I love how she uses stickers, labels, packaging to decorate her journals. I think that is so creative. It is so unique, and I just wanted to, um, kind of invoke that with my own journal. So that sticker is actually from an order that I placed for some washi tape that's black and white through James Luke's Burke store, because I wanted to incorporate it into my journal, and from the gift that I won during one of the game nights. But I'll talk about more of that in a little bit. Also, if you look a little bit closer to that curling ribbon, you can see a little gold cat that kind of has like a stretched neck. And my husband and I were out antiquing like we normally do, and I found this pin. It's actually like a brooch pin, and I thought, oh my gosh, this looks like the cat from Coraline. And even though Coraline's not a Tim Burton film, some of the art kind of looks similar to me, so of course I wanted to add this to my journal. At first I tried to puncture it through the spine, kind of like a traveler's notebook, but I was finding that that was bulking up my pages and I didn't want them to tear or to do damage, so I ended up taping it, which worked out really nice. And you can also see in the upper corner there is the Sally bow that I got from Spirit Halloween, and it is a hair clip, but I fashioned it into a charm for an elastic that I made to close and hold the book together. When we open up the book, you can see a lot going on. Um, we have a self-portrait on the left, which is supposed to be drawn through the eyes of Tim Burton. That's why we're holding little eyeballs. I drew a cat next to me because my youngest cat, was rubbing against my leg while I was sketching it, and I thought how appropriate because James always talks about his cats. Um, the stamp that you see there on the inside cover is part of his virtual voyage stamp set that he made, and I wanted to include that because I've never been on a cruise, and I just thought that that looks like, a ticket. It looks kind of neat. And then because I had watched so many of his videos before Virtual Voyage 8 started, I had his greeting that he always greets us with, like really concreted in my head when he says, "Good day, friends," very cheerfully and joyful, and I love that. So I wanted to incorporate that in my book, and I used the font that he drew and shared with us and made a sticker. That way it would be kind of like him greeting me the same way he does in a video, but when I open the book. Also, I used some of the packaging from that gift that I previously mentioned and the order that I made, which is the like yellowish lined paper that you see there, to create a tip-in. And I used the washi from the packaging that he created to tape it into the book. The typewriter is a sticker that I created with my Silhouette Portrait 3 machine, and I put that in there because he shared a lot of his Wednesday Addams sketches from the Wednesday Netflix series, and we had a couple discussions about it and how we can draw it. And I love typewriters. I have two of them myself, and I thought I'm just going to put that in there, and I thought it was the perfect place to put the cruise itinerary in. This way it kind of looks like the paper's going into the typewriter and it's being typed out. On the back of the typewriter itinerary page, you can see the stamp that James drew out and sketched for us for the voyage. And it's got a little bit of glare on it here, but you can see that it has characteristics that are throughout the rest of the journal. And there's also a little mermaid that he drew. I loved that he put it on a bonefish. In a little bit further into the journal flip, you'll see a similar fish that I drew. So I thought that was really, synchronous. And then the Captain James is from one of the instructions that he gave us for the day. And I loved how it was written, and I thought that it would look really nice in there. And I just wanted to say too that never having drawn anything really other than like my bullet journal stuff, I have such a great admiration and respect for the time and effort that he puts into his artwork, because everything that you're going to see in this book, this is all like the first go. I mean, I didn't go back and try to perfect anything. I didn't do a second go at any of it. It's first glances. My pens and markers go right over my pencil lines. So, you could see I'm quite the amateur compared to James, but I love the creativity and the challenges and the inspiration that he shared with us during this voyage. Next, we have a sketch that we did for Sally O Seams, and this had a lot of sketch drills in it where he was trying to get us comfortable with lines and shapes and how they correlate into the things that we were going to draw. So those are included. And then if you're wondering what the little like stickers are at the top that have like the star and the little checkerboard border, those are questions that he asked us to kind of get, our creative juices flowing each day. And I really loved them. I loved the conversation that we had about them. I loved the challenge of thinking about what I wanted my answer to be. So I took screenshots and made stickers out of those. So you'll see them here and there throughout the journal. On this spread was a lot of drills that we did about challenging ourselves to sketch, do freestyle with pen, and just getting comfortable with playing with the shapes he was teaching us to draw. We also kind of had a little personal conversation about our fears, and you can see that down in the lower left corner with the Beetlejuice sketch of a self-portrait. And also, James did something really fun. I mean, I found it very fun. He would do a countdown before we would have a live session, and he would keep us updated on, how close we were to that on Instagram. So I saved those and incorporated those into the journal so that I would remember which things he taught us during those sessions. Next, we had an opportunity to kind of share with each other the types of art tools that we like to use, sort of like our go-to tools. And I had to deal with a question that he asked us, so I wanted to include that. And I did this on a separate sheet of paper, and I was surprised at how many tools I actually use when I journal. So I ended up having to cut them all out and get in order to get them to fit on the page. On the opposite, we have a portrait that's Tim Burton themed, and it is of all of my pets. I call them the babes because I refer to them as my fur babies. But one of the things that I loved about this portrait and that I really wanted to draw it for is that the names are written in the whiskers, which I thought was great. But because I have a fish, I had to put his name in his little air bubbles. This spread shows a pop-up tree that James taught us how to make, and I was so excited for this exercise, guys, because I am a bookbinder and I've toyed around with the idea of creating pop-ups. I mean, I've got the silhouette portrait machine. I have played around with, the 3D creations and the boxes and the card cutouts, and I really want to learn how to do that more and better. So I was so glad that James included that into the voyage. Also on this page, you'll notice that there's the sandworm, and there's a little tau animal that I sketched. I'll explain those a little bit more in detail later. But down in the lower left corner is an image from Collage Club, which James also does and I belong to. And it's one of his drawings with a little cake because that's like a little reference back to us kind of almost sharing birthdays. And I had to put it in there. I had to find room for it. But my favorite part about this spread is in the upper right corner, you'll see photos of James, his husband Steve, and then that's me in the middle because when he shared his journal flip from Virtual Voyage 2, which was the first visit to Burtonville, I noticed that one of his journal spreads included a kind of like a film strip, and it was images of him and Steve, his husband, that they were dressed up in for like the Theme Night Live session. And that's the shirt that I was referring to earlier in this video that I had purchased. And I had no idea that for this voyage they were going to dress up in red, even though that's James' favorite color, and I kind of should have guessed that. But I chose red for the shirt, not because it's his favorite color, not because it's my favorite color. I have no clue why I chose red, but I just did. And it worked out perfect because they dressed up in red, and you know, I don't know, it was very kismet. So I put me in the middle, and that's the deco journal. For this spread, you'll notice a "Till Death Do Us Part" sketch, and I just want to say about this sketch that I was really nervous going into it because if you could see the drill sheet that James shared with us to kind of teach us how to get from start to finish with this, I thought, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to draw this? There were details and characteristics about each figure. That I was worried about, and then I was like, how am I going to get that figure to look like me and my husband? And it was just a whole kind of like little panic before the exercise. But I will say that it was I was very pleasantly surprised because once James started to teach us, I think I drew this from start to finish in under 5 minutes. No kidding. He makes it so simple. He breaks it down into very easily understandable parts. And like I said before, guys, I'm not a drawer, and look at that. I'm very happy with it. Um, and something else that I wanted to mention about the washi tapes, I had ordered the black and white washi that James created before the voyage because I wanted to use it. I knew I was going to have tip ends and other things that I wanted to kind of decorate it with, but I wasn't sure if it was going to get here because I was kind of late in ordering it, if it was going to get here on time. So I toyed around with my silhouette machine and I made my own washi stickers and tape. That's what those little hearts are there, and then the little like spinny wheel on the envelope seal. Um, so this was a really good exercise because I learned how to make my own washi tape using that machine and software. But then, as it would happen, James included um, washi tapes and stickers in one of our day packages. So that was great. And I was just like, oh, great minds think alike, right? Um, then also I made some other stickers to decorate this page with. There's some of my stamps. Down in the lower left you can see where I experimented with those watercolor pigments, making the little hearts. And then also I had some washi sticker tape paper left, so I went ahead and used my rubber stamps and created some little floral stickers to add to it. I thought what was really challenging about the exercise shown on this spread was my name, doing like the little bubble letters with the little characters. I'd never done anything like that, and I think it turned out pretty good. I like it. I'm happy with it. Here I did some journaling. I still have a little bit of journaling to do, but for the most part the book is complete. There's some stationary monsters that I drew, and then my attempt at drawing one of my Tim Burton favorite movies scenes, which is from Corpse Bride. On this spread, I was able to experiment with my silhouette portrait machine a little bit because I wanted to create something I had seen from one of James's other videos where he had like a window pane where you could see his art through it. So that is what you see on the left with the butterflies and the waves. It is actually a silhouette cutout. And then underneath that is a piece of vellum to protect the graphite or pencil drawing that we did for that exercise. And on the right is a sticker that I created using that font that he drew for us. Here I'm just lifting up the vellum and the silhouette cutout so that you can see my attempt at the Wednesday Big Eyes portrait that we did. In this spread you can see a little bit more of the sandworm going through these pages, and I really found it difficult to add that in. It was an exercise kind of towards the end of the voyage, and at that point I had already had my layouts like pre-thought out. But I think it went well where it is, even though that's like the majority of the sandworm. Um, but I really had fun including that in different areas of the journal. These are just some other sketches that I drew based off of his artwork that he shared with us. Here we have some more portraits and challenges that James gave us. The one on the left is a drawing of like our childhood artists, and there are different characteristics in each of the features that are representative of our childhood favorites. And then there's more of the questions and my journaling and the answers and some random sketches, plus my little monster up there on the upper left. This next spread is very special to me because it is representing the night that I won the game. Down at the bottom on the left, you can see where I journaled in response to the whole thing. I wrote, I still cannot believe I won the memory game. To think I've been fearing that I'm losing my memory or something to that degree. I can't really read it right now, but yeah. Um, that was just, you know, a little funny blurb I wanted to put in there because that week that we did that game, I told my husband, I was like, I cannot remember anything. And like I felt like I was writing everything down, making list upon list upon list, and it was just irony. But so over the next couple of shots, I'm going to talk about what's going on here. But um, the main thing that I wanted to point out is that this is a spread where I was able to use a little bit more of that packaging from the gift and the order that I placed. And you can kind of see it, but it's what the Kokeshi doll is painted on with a Posca pen, paint pen. It was the black and white swirls on kind of like a clear vellum paper. And this was not part of the virtual voyage, but it was something that I saw in one of James's other videos. And in it, he mentioned how the Kakeshi doll is very important and meaningful to him because of his relationship with one of his family members. And his video talks all about that and what it means to him. And until I had seen that video, I didn't know what those dolls were. So it was a really good experience to be able to incorporate that, something that was so special to him with something that is so special to me. And I just love that I have a piece of his actual artwork meshed with a piece of my artwork, and it's all inspired by his creations and his ideas, and it's just very meaningful. On this spread, it's the same spread, but this is another image that where I'm showing that I used the packaging tape from the order and prize package to close the pull outs that I made. And the pull outs are just, regular drawing paper, but I used the distress ink to use all the stamps that I won so that I could always remember which ones that I won for the game night. Here I'm just showing you another piece of that packaging that I was able to incorporate into this spread. James had written out my name and kind of this spooky lettering, Tim Burton-ish lettering, and I wanted to keep that, so I taped it in. During one of our conversations, we discussed other things that we would like to see drawn from the Tim Burton's perspective. And one of the suggestions was Barbie. And since that movie was playing in theaters, I was able to go see it before the end of the voyage. So that's just me covering up the movie stub photo that I took, because those stubs always fade over time. So I just took a photo of it and then turned it into a sticker and put it in there. And now I'm showing the mermaid corner stamps up in the upper right. Also in the lower bottom left, you can see another experiment with those watercolor pigment powders. And then I did a sketch to try to replicate one of the sketches he shared with us. I love that he's always drawing on the go, no matter where he is, and that is supposed to be like a little reminder to myself that you need to make time each day for your art and to be creative and to play. So here in this spread, I was able to use the crystal skull mask that I got from the Halloween store when I went shopping for some goodies for my inclusions in this journal. It also has some other sketches that were inspiring to me from his Virtual Voyage 2 initial visit to Burtonville that I really loved. And then another watercolor experiment. My little monster is in the upper left corner. That was a challenge that he gave to us, and I wanted to make a sticker out of mine. And then I have to laugh because one of the exercises or the drills that he was trying to teach, or that he did teach during the cruise, was different ways for making lips. And he described the upper lip as like the McDonald arches, and I was always made fun of growing up for my lips because they are naturally McDonald arches. I mean, they're very arched lips. So that's just a little fun tidbit for you. And now that I have my little monster as a sticker, I was very exaggerated in the arches in those lips because I wanted to always remember that. And then another thing that makes me smile and happy on this page is that he James included a drawing of Miss Piggy through the eyes of Tim Burton. And again, my older brother always used to make fun of me and say that I look like Miss Piggy because I curled my hair and because of my nose and other features. And it was perfect, that he drew that and then the other comment. And it made me smile and it made me laugh. And it was just a really good time. And then this image is showing a pull out of the accordion book that I made from a Halloween treat bag of all the Tau animals and some of the miniature drawings, our mascot for the voyage that James drew and shared with us, because I've never been on a cruise. So it was really fun to have a Tau animal for each one of our voyage day instructions. All right, so we're getting near the end here, and on the final black and white colored page, I decided to take one of those Halloween treat bags and turn it into a pocket. And there I have like my sketches that I couldn't find a place for, or the sketches that, I didn't really think turned out very well. There's some photos, some excess washi tape, some excess stickers, and I just put them all in there so that I would have them with my journal. There's also some more of the sandworm, and then out of that leftover washi sticker paper, I made a debarkation day stamp with those virtual voyage stamps that I had bought from James's store. On the right, you can see some inspiration from the first virtual voyage that went to Burtonville, Virtual Voyage 2, because he was very generous in sharing his entire journal spreads. During this voyage, I was able to be inspired by one of his sketches of the Beetlejuice door. In case of emergency, draw a door, which I love. Next, I have kind of like a cache or throw all of some leftover questions, some images and stickers that I had made that I wasn't sure where else they should go. There's the culmination of all of our little monsters into one big monster that James drew and shared with us on Instagram. There's some more watercolor experiments. There's some more washi tape that was part of that package I talked about, and I didn't want to throw it away, so I just put it in the back of the book. And then one of my favorite questions that James asked us during this voyage was if we had a Tim Burton piece of art, and that was our favorite, and if we would share it or just go ahead and draw it in our journal. So I drew it in my journal, and I chose the clock from Time's Eternal Castle in Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass. It's not like identical to the clock, and that's purposeful because I wanted to use some of the skills that he was teaching us throughout the course with the patterns, with the little spirals, and then with some of the shadowing or the coloring. You can see, and it's supposed to be light shining through the clock. All right, so we made it to the end. I just wanted to say thank you very much for watching my video, and if you're curious about any of the art supplies that I used in this journal, here's a photo of some of the most used items. There are some other items that I used that aren't photographed, like the Posca paint pens, but this is a good idea of the bulk of what's in the journal. All right, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this flip, and I'll see you in the next one.